Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Tali Green. I'm a litigation lawyer and the co-founder of Goodfact. I used to work in rooms like these, where each of my files would have hundreds or thousands of disorganized documents. Before I could even start advocating for my clients, I needed to figure out what happened. What story do these documents tell me? That meant spending hundreds of hours sifting through documents and populating information about each document into an Excel worksheet. I had young kids, and this work would keep me up hours at night. Most of the work was not billable. Clients didn't want to pay for administrative drudgery, but someone had to do it. I looked for solutions on the market, and I couldn't find any. Fast forward 2 years, we are proud to say that we have built the solution to this massive problem. And now every litigator's dream has come true. Welcome to the most accurate, interactive, and reliable story management platform for document-heavy litigation. Soon after I had my aha moment that there might be a big gap in the market, I spent months validating the problem with litigators across the world. Every single one of them confirmed that they suffered from the exact same problem. The work they had to do was extremely costly for lawyers and for firms, because to add insult to injury, not only did this work take hours, it was not billable. So while lawyers do like to bill for their time, as we know, the hours they spent manually creating these chronologies from hundreds or thousands of documents would get written off, sometimes up to 50 to 75% of the work. That means a mid-sized law firm might be writing off more than 15% of a lawyer's annual billable hours. That's time that could be spent on billable work, enhancing the lawyer's professional life and making the lawyer and the firm a lot more money. Goodfact solves this problem by automating the entire process. Let me show you a quick video so you can understand exactly what Goodfact does. So a lawyer might get a large batch of documents from their client. A lot of them would be email threads. That's a big problem we're also solving. So if you have a long email thread like this, every individual email in the thread is a separate fact in your chronology. So to get the type of context that you would need for a litigation file, you need to manually parse out every single email in these threads to get the context surrounding everything that was said. Goodfact completely automates this workflow. Its most unique and powerful feature, and the one that makes it stand out in the market, is that it parses email threads automatically and places every individual email into the chronology as a separate fact. There's also space for tags and comments to start applying your legal analysis to the facts. Goodfact does the same thing with PDF documents. So if you have a massive 3,000-page batch of medical records, for example, Goodfact will parse those up and put each individual document in chronological order. It uses AI to identify the correct name and date of a document, and it allows the user to view the document within the chronology itself, which is unique and unheard of on the market. Our team is ready to tackle this problem. As I said, I'm a litigation lawyer, and I can understand and relate to our customers' problems. I have two very strong software engineers. Both have over 14 years experience building very powerful solutions to complex problems. Specifically, my co-founder, Thomas Robert, and one of the reasons we started to work together is because he has a unique background in email handling, which is a rare skill on the software development market. He had spent years handling emails, which are a difficult medium to work with. Goodfact has carved out a unique and solid niche in the market. Currently, chronology tools can be separated into two distinct categories: the pre-ChatGPT world and the post-ChatGPT world. In the pre-ChatGPT world, there was no such thing as an LLM generated summary, and it was a manual process. So there were tools that would create essentially a glorified Excel worksheet. You would enter each fact manually into this box, and then the boxes would get slotted for you. But you still had to manually do all that data entry. After ChatGPT, there's a new crop of tools out there that'll essentially summarize your documents for you and generate an abstractive or paraphrase summary of each document. The problem is that litigators don't like either of these solutions. They want something very tailored and specific to their workflow. So they want to fully automate the manual drudgery part of chronologies, but they don't like the AI-generated summaries because that takes control away from them to decide what's important in a document. So we have people come to us who try co-counsel and file by, and they say, it's not what we want. They don't understand what we need. Goodfact has a solid moat on this market because it took us 2 years to build the type of platform that they're looking for. And it's unlikely that another tool would come in and be able to take over that market because no other tool has. For years, email has been an issue and no one has tried to solve it. Our pricing is very straightforward. We bill per matter. We bill, and as users upload more documents, they get charged more because that's where we add value. We don't charge per user. That's intentional to enhance collaboration and to spread the word within an organization that this tool is available. We do offer 2 tiers per matter and a monthly subscription option if users really like Goodfact and decide that they want to use it more heavily. We're zeroing in initially on a very tight, narrow part of the market. So while Goodfact is jurisdiction agnostic, it can be used worldwide. And in fact, we do have customers around the world in New Zealand and Singapore and Australia. We have interest from the US as well. We're focusing our efforts on the Canadian market right now, medium to large law firms, especially the litigation-focused law firms. And we believe that that's where we can establish our credibility as we spread to law firms around the world and then to industries outside of law where you have story professionals like doctors, accountants, lenders, who also need to see the story behind a massive batch of documents. So huge untapped market there. Our traction has been really exciting over the last 3 months. We added those AI features that I mentioned in September. We introduced SaaS pricing, so monthly pricing, just in July of this year. Before that, we were charging per matter one-time fee, so we weren't getting the monthly recurring revenue. The red line here is very exciting for us. It shows the number of uses per month of our tool, and that has been increasing. And just in the last few days, it has skyrocketed as well. So our usage is interestingly tracking our revenue growth as well. We are looking for 1.5 million to primarily enhance the product, add AI features to it. There's a lot more layers of AI that we can add that I'm happy to discuss. We also want to grow. We want to grow across Canada, across North America, and then move to other English-speaking jurisdictions. So we need funds to pay for sales, marketing, and development talent. This is a comment that was made to us recently at an in-person seminar in Calgary where we met with a bunch of litigators, and a junior lawyer came up to us and said, "Your tool means I can finally start practicing law again." So that was very gratifying. Thank you very much for your time.
Great, thanks, Tali. It's a great quote to end with. All right.
Thank you.
Maybe this time we'll start with Kelly for feedback.
To say, are we gonna flip it around and
Yeah, why not?
Tali, thank you for that. I'm going to say your pace, the way that you speak, the pace of your delivery is really good. It's very easy to follow what you're saying. You have a calmness in your pitch. We don't have to rush through to sound confident, right? And in fact, I think when people talk slower, and it takes training, I have to do it myself because we get excited because we're really proud. Really important, and it's the first thing I noticed. Your beginning, your storytelling, phenomenal. The picture, the focus that you have on the picture allows me to, and not words, allows me to focus on what you're saying, right? I'm not trying to read the screen while you're telling me a story. Really, really good. It allows me to understand the problem, sit with the issue. So your intro was very strong. I would say it was very great storytelling. You did an excellent job where you sort of framed what the issue was, and then you said fast forward. You said you spent 2 years, to really understand the problem. So now I know that you've sat with this issue, and it's important. I would say some areas to focus on. I may have missed it, but just kind of framing the cost, because I can feel it as a pain point, but I still don't really know like the kind of the cost implication.
It was in my slide, but I didn't get into it because I didn't want to sort of read my slides, but I have to build that up a little bit,
Yeah.
make it grander. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, because it is when we invest money, we want to know that we're making an impact on something, and sometimes it is it's just a pain in the butt, but there's got to be probably a cost, right? So there has to be a cost savings to those law firms, right? Maybe they can charge more and do less. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely.
I would say your pricing sheet as well. I think you explained it really well when you said we used to do SaaS. I think that's really important, right? Because you recognize the way you priced it before, but just the way you laid out your pricing sheet was hard for me to follow. You even talked about tiers, and knowing that you've got a good pricing strategy is important. Knowing that you know how to price it, you've got different pricing options. You also talked about the different sizes of firms. You're focused on medium-sized law firms. Maybe just connect those two things a little closer. I don't know if you have different price points for different sizes. But yeah, I would spend a little more time on it. Not on explaining it, just the graphic. And then on traction, I noticed that you had this really proud graph, and you're like, I'm so proud of these numbers, as you should be, because it's going up. Growth is to me, and to you is going to mean different things. You had on the side, you had percentage growth, but it was like this little teeny thing. And I'm like, I would favor that, because it's relative to your own success, right? So your 30% growth or your 50% growth is a number you should be really proud of. The graph is secondary. I'm not sure if I need all the specifics, because then I'm trying to figure out the numbers and what does 348 mean versus it's too much for my brain to process. I think those fast facts that you had that said we've had 30% growth. I know you've got a chart somewhere, but whatever those numbers are, I think that would be really important. One challenge I had, you made a passing comment, which I think you should focus on. You said it's unique and unheard of in the market. Right. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. And then you moved right into like pricing and all that. And I'm like, well, why is this so unique? So I would say that might be the only thing to bring sooner. And you did talk about it a bit later. And obviously timing was great. You hit the timing, which is good.
Okay.
Yeah, you were a little under actually, Tally. You had about 2 or 3 more minutes if you
Oh,
need.
really?
Mhm.
Oh,
Just
yeah, should have talked more about the cost, I think, during that time. I could have sort of explained Kelly's question, like what is the cost to law
for the
firm?
firms.
Yeah, and I do agree with Jane. I like the ending with a quote. You also ended with the ask. It was very clear. I know what you want. I know how much money you're looking as an investment, and you've got a nice, warm and fuzzy validating quote at the end. So that was a nice ending.
Great, thanks, Kelly. Okay, Melanie, I love that opening photo too, especially the duct taped air conditioner in the corner. That was
It's true, because they're not billing for their time. They're building chronologies all day, so they don't have money. They can't pay.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, no, it was great. And as like, you know, I spent 2 hours this morning going through a medical file that I'm doing an occupational medicine review. So I understand like the hours it takes to click through individual documents to try and figure out what the heck is going on before you can even start your work.
Yeah.
Your first slide was problem, and it was the cool picture. Your second, and then you talked about solution on the same picture, like you changed the title. And then your third slide was more on the problem with like the actual details there. And I even like I wrote down, you know, 50 to 75% of the work. So like there were details there that answered questions I had. And then the fourth problem, or the fourth slide was fourth and fifth were solution. And I'm wondering, I know you're not over time, but even though the first picture is great, I'm wondering how long you need to spend on it, because the actual information, because you go problem, solution, solution. If you go like slide one quick, you know, and flip quickly maybe into slide 3, so that you're giving more detail on what the actual, like the impact of the problem, like this is how big the problem is. Before we leave your problem slide, we should have a really clear idea. How huge is this problem? What's the cost to us? Why is this a big deal? Why do we need to solve it? And then after that, hit on solution. And again, like hit the solution hard right from the first solution slide, because you give us this video with pictures of emails, an email thread getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not sure how useful that was, because I thought that was going to be a demo of the product. And instead it was just this video of emails getting bigger.
Should I make it a demo? You think that would be better?
Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's necessary, but whatever you do to showcase your solution, like kind of go right into it rather than giving that video, which sort of promises something that doesn't happen. And then you have the people watching being like, oh, well, what was the video for? Was that the solution?
I think
But
it'd be powerful to juxtapose that arresting photo at the very beginning with the photo that you then have where you, not the vid, it's just after the video where it actually
Yeah.
just shows the solution. It's like, this is what
Yeah.
this is what it could be. When
yeah,
you
I
get
think
to
that was like slide 5 with like
yeah.
the screenshot of the software,
Mhm.
which just that screenshot, you know, it looks well organized. There's colors, there's like I think anyone could recognize it as being, oh, this looks, you know, nicer to work with, even if we don't have all the and maybe be prepared with a video of demo for that. Your next slide was team, which was great. Maybe stick in years of experience for your software engineers. The competition, I don't know if you have to go into a lot of detail about pre-ChatGPT, because like we are living in post-ChatGPT world now. So maybe get some other feedback on that from other people who hear your pitch before you decide to take it out. But I'm not sure how much we need to know about, like, because we're also like, we're not looking at pre-email or pre-computer.
I guess what I mean is like these tools that were around pre-ChatGPT,
Yeah.
they're still around. People still,
Okay.
they would still be considered like competition, but
It's really
they're
competition.
different. Like they operate differently
Yeah.
than the post-chat. But I guess you're right. Maybe don't sort of differentiate between in time. Just say like there's these guys and there's these guys, and that's it.
Yeah. Or and in terms of like, you know, there's a group that offer, you know, that don't have any AI capabilities, and then there's some that have a bit of AI capabilities, but what we have, you know, and really go into what differentiates with you. And for me, it seemed to be, I heard the word unique, just like Kelly, and I think you were talking about that you solved the email problem, which is that's unique about you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not the only unique thing, but that's the major
That's
unique.
so the major unique thing is you solve the email problem, and everybody has an email problem. So I think people will understand that, like, that's a big deal that you solve that email problem. So maybe spend a little bit more time on it.
Mhm.
Pricing per matter. I understand what you mean by matter, but it might be more useful to just say case, even though it's not as exact in your head.
Yeah,
And then if you have any big customers right now, like, are there some names of law firms you can?
I put it on the traction slide.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
don't know, I'll show you again because maybe it's not prominent enough, but
Yeah.
I have them here at the bottom.
Yeah.
So these are prominent, but I feel like only lawyers would know that they're
Yeah,
prominent.
I couldn't see that.
And I
I-
can't see it at all. Like, it just depends how wide your.
So they're too far down
Oh, okay,
in
Yes.
the chart. So maybe that might be better on a different slide, because
okay.
if like, one of the biggest questions for, I think, angel investors and venture capital is growth, right? Like, how much is this going to grow? So as soon as we see this slide, we're trying to figure out what it's telling us about growth here, and we're ignoring all the stuff on the bottom. So any slide about growth should just be hitting growth.
I see.
And if you are able to do some, like, loose math and say some loose predictions on growth, to say, like, in 1 year, we expect to maybe have, like, when do you think, from now till the future, it will take you to get 10 times the number of customers, right? Like 10x, when will you 10x your growth? And if you can kind of give something that doesn't sound too far out of the realm of possibility, I think investors
Okay.
might be interested in that.
Okay.
Um,
That's-
I'd also be interested if there's some way you can put in there, like, okay, you've had 300 or is this like 391 new users, or?
So no, these are like monthly, I guess, hits to the app. So people coming every month. So it went from, in July it was 181, and then like in October it's 291 per month are coming in and using it. Does that make
So I'm not sure how 291 is above 328, but
because it's because it's from September 30th to October 7th. So it's
okay.
like less, it's less.
It's a shorter time. Okay.
It's just me not knowing how to use Excel, but
No,
yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know how many of them are repeat users, right? I used it in July and it was so awesome. I also used it in August. Or are cases going on too long that like, it's such a short time period, you might not be able to have that information yet, but in the future, it'd be nice to know how many people have used it and they're using it again for another case.
Okay. Okay.
And I will stop there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Right.
both.
Super. Any questions? We've got like 2 minutes here, Jane or Tali, for Melanie or Kelly. Got lots of good feedback to go over, I guess, with your recordings.
Yeah, thank you
All right.
so much.
And we'll fill out those forms too. There's the forms that we got sent by email. So if there's other things.
Great.
I do have a question. My co-founder asked me to sort of ask people, because like when we describe our email problem, do people understand what we're doing to solve it? Like, do you guys understand that, you have a long email thread and you kind of, you have like emails from, let's say you have 2 email threads and they're concurrent conversations and you need to see how they come together. So like email 1 from here and email 2 from this thread actually are right next to each other. Like, is that obvious when I explain that, or is it not?
I would say it was obvious to me. I would say what is not obvious, and I think what's more important is what's that pain point, like, and what's the cost of that problem, right? So the cost could be time, and the time equals money, right? But that wasn't obvious to me, because being an expert in your solution is never the goal of a pitch, right? That's it's just enough, I think, to pique the interest and say they know that there's a problem. They know that people are going to buy it because it's going to fix and everything comes down to cost, right? Everything, what cost are you saving? And it could be cost of time. And with lawyers, I know a little bit about every hour is billable, right? So I didn't ask this, but as it was on my mind, which is this going to take dollars away from their billable hours? Are they going to be so efficient now that they're, right? Like, how is that going to affect their practice?
I guess I tried to drill this point home that they're writing off a lot of their time, but maybe the concept of writing off isn't obvious to non-lawyers. Like by writing off, they're saying essentially, hey, we spent 20 hours on this, but we're gonna write off 18 of them. So we're only gonna bill for 2. Like, that's not obvious from the
Oh,
pitch?
and if you put dollars,
It's kind of a big deal.
it
Okay.
wasn't to me, and I'm one of others, but if you could put $1 on that instead of saying write it off, you're saying, you know, lawyers are losing
Okay.
$6 per case, right, or whatever, right? If they're losing $600 to $800 per case because they're
Mhm.
writing this off.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll put up like a lawyer's invoice and I'll show like the discount, like where they're literally writing off 80% of their time because they built a chronology and you know, I
Yeah,
could do that. I could create like a fake invoice and show that. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
great. Okay, we're gonna stop it there.